Game number 2. Let's see who's it gonna be setting up who this time around.
You can see last game's pick order and bans at the bottom of your screen as we get into a new fresh pick and ban phase. Aurelion Sol, Victor, so they are going to still attack Huhi as much as possible. He actually played quite well in the Victor, so they choose to take that out as well.
Yeah, and honestly, teams kind of going towards when they have side selection, the red side now. Counterlogic Gaming had selection this game, and they started going towards that. And I figure it's mostly because there isn't set red side bans.
And look at this, 3 mid lane bans, all directed at Huhi here. This guy has been drawing bans upon bans, you know, all these different characters. The Vel'Koz comes out. He still has more in the roster. We'll see what the Immortals are going to be able to push him back to.
Yeah, Cassiopeia first pick or Gragas are the two things, because you just banned out 3 mid laners, and a lot of the power on red side now is people don't typically pick their mid laner early, and you third pick it, but Immortals are kind of squeezing that down in the first pick.
We would assume an immediate lock-in of the Gragas, at least for one of the picks here for CLG, to get that 4 Omar God. He did look okay on the Maokai and playing that front line, but he has looked so much more comfortable on the Gragas, and it is definitely more flexible. You can actually get out of a lot more situations, you know, especially early skirmishes that go wrong. Not going to be the case, though. It looks like they have lowered the priority on that Gragas and would much rather have the duo.
But also lower priority on Tristana, something that Stixxay was gravitating towards in their series against Envy, and it looks like bottom lane priority is the name of the game for CLG. Well,
when you are looking at the damage numbers after that game, not only did Huhi do more damage than Pobelter, but also Stixxay on this Xayah was able to put out more than Cody-Sun was even able to accomplish on the Kog'Maw the last time around. And we did see on display how important Aphromu's engages were for the team. That being said, this tried and true combo here for Immortals, you know, was able to carry them late in game number 1. They're going right back to it.
Yep. Would expect a Gragas here, most likely for Xmithie. Then the Alistar is the other thing.
This was banned.
But this is also something
that could be a hover for the memes.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Sejuani, one of the most popular tank junglers right now. Actually, one of the very highest win rates as far as solo queue as well. But I really like to pair with a lot more melee champions. You know, the 2 carries have been locked in, those are range, but at least getting one other melee, you know, possibly a support, you know, or top laner there on your team just helps out so much for getting multiple stuns in team fights.
Yeah, but they also means that didn't take away the Gragas, which is something that you always have to worry about when playing Kog'Maw, is the barrel into the team. And Sejuani, her play rate in North American professional play is actually 3 times lower than across the seas in both Europe and the LCK and even LPL. It is not played here very often at all. Now we might see it come a little bit up that tier list. But Gragas was on the table, so that's kind of the head scratcher.
Xmithie back on the Sejuani, but he's on a different team this time around, and we'll see if he can land his ultimates against CLG. Bans coming through, though, again, split between that top and bottom lane. Rakan doesn't want to have to play into Tahm Kench or Morgana. Exact same bans here last time from CLG in the second phase. Trying to get a couple of those pesky lane opponents out that are going to deny a lot of the initiation.
Can they keep away from Darshan as well if they decide to hit something he may be able to carry top lane with? His Camille's played recently, but it's going to be the Jax this time around. And we'll actually see what CLG has now. A pick and a final pick with 2 to Immortals.
Oh, the Cho'Gath.
That was very quickly locked in.
It's a double flex, though. You can put it top or jungle here, and same with the Gragas. Yeah, most likely in the top lane, though, but it's a blind pick here.
Yeah, I would definitely assume they're having Omar on the Gragas because of how many games he's put on this champion. It would seem super awkward, and I don't see a lot of benefits to switching a Gragas to the top side. Cho'Gath plays it fairly similar. You could say, yeah, Cho'Gath is more vulnerable to ganks, though, and we'll see how comfortable Darshan does feel up there. Maybe he'll just have a tank-free-tank matchup, though. Not as scary.
The interesting thing, though, is even though they know the Cassiopeia was locked in, they decided not to pick their mid laner. And if Huhi has something kind of up his sleeve here with 3 banned away, 1 taken, then maybe it's the Vel'Koz, maybe some type of artillery.
One thing I would say is that Huhi often looks at side lane picks when deciding if he wants to play Aurelion Sol rather than even just looking at his mid lane matchup. It's a really big part of the pick is picking it into side lanes that are very gankable early on. We mentioned the Vel'Koz before. He's had a lot of success on it. He's actually drawn a significant amount of bans on this champion. ever since showing it as well. And it definitely provides a very similar role here to the Cassiopeia. Very large amounts of backline damage.
I love how you mentioned bans, because Huhi, it doesn't just have that influence on the Rift or the roaming power, but he pulls so many bans, the second most banned mid laner out of all the NALCS in the regular season. And then in playoffs, we saw him in versus Envy pulling 3 bans, pulling 4 bans, and then still finding things. So finding the Vel'Koz here, we'll see if it works out for him. It's a good Cassiopeia matchup, but there is pick and gap closers from Immortals.
I've been loving this kind of composition with the Rakan again back for CLG. They play the circles, right? Whenever you use the overlap circles, you have now the Rupture, the hits from Vel'Koz, as well as Rakan going in. So a lot to pile on in one spot and disrupt the fight.
I like that both teams are going to fairly similar compositions as we saw in game number 1. They both feel that it was down to outplaying in those team fights, and they're ready to run it back here. Not exactly the same for the exact champions, but very similar roles, and it feels like the game will have a similar trajectory.
CLG going in, a bit of a new composition all around the board. Very actually similar to the composition of game 1 against Envy that Vel'Koz was against the Cassio and the Shen. As you were saying, he kind of chooses that based on the lanes he's playing against. Very similar here, and CLG's hoping to have a similar result. That was a win for them. Now with Immortals up 1, Immortals has the momentum.
And Immortals this time around have the Shen. One of the big changes here is bottom lane focus becomes even more dangerous for a CLG aggressive move. So Immortals, we'll see what they do when Flame gets that level 6, when Standing Knight becomes available, and how the bottom lane focus does come through.
But I feel like it might be a top lane focus here from the start. When you're up against a Cho'Gath and you have a Shen, great CC, and then you have the Sejuani to follow up, could be the lane, like I said, with the melee and the passive, could be the lane you focus early to try and get an advantage on this Cho'Gath.
They did have a bit of pressure towards the top side early. We actually never really saw Omar God or Smithy kind of head into lane, up and back is what they would do. So a little bit more of that if they play the same role this time around. Or maybe a little bit more kill pressure.
Deep ward successful here from Immortals, able to get that onto the red buff. Get some more intelligence on Omar God's path. Don't want to get too close. Little antsy here. Even when they're having fun, it's still a playoff game.
Nice to unmeet you.
That's just for you guys. Nobody else can see him. That's all for you guys. What a nice guy. Aframu is going to go ahead and join Stixxay, and Huhi now gains his position. They're playing this like they're moving baseball bases. So like, you take my spot, I got to rotate down. We're going to get into the laning phase. Now minions meet mid lane, and we get help on the buff. Looks like Omar God's going to get a bit of help. I believe Huhi gave him a shot.
Yeah, Xmithy starting with the machete. So he doesn't have those mana returns on Sejuani, but he's going to go for single target camps first. Kind of what it tells me there. So it might be a red to blue to Gromp for level 3.
Do have Omar God heading up to the red buff as well. The ward has expired, so it won't see him. CLG keep it a little bit in the fog of war here. I really like that trade at the very beginning, though, as we kind of caught it on camera from Flame using Senju that early on versus Cho'Gath. As you can see, Darshan is making use of Cho'Gath's passive and healing up off the minion waves, but Flame definitely creating that early pressure and pushing him up to the turret.
Question mark comes down on the side of Xmithy. They possibly here. Let's play according to that, as the lanes are actually going to push opposite here. So pressure might be drawn either way. I'm pretty sure Flame knows he's going to be seeing something soon.
Yeah, but still, plays the deny game, slow pushes the wave into Darshan. And like we said, the Cho'Gath kind of has to get those hits to actually restore his HP, starving him for a bit.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things is keeping the Cho'Gath off of the minion wave as long as you can, so he doesn't get as much regeneration from the passive. But once it crashes into turret, Darshan should be able to collect his rewards. Omar God does get scuttle control before moving in here. We may get the first hello.
Hit it.
Yeah. Make sure his ward doesn't get cleared out.
Yeah, exactly. Always got to do as much as you can to
Ram
take
again.
away from your opponent. You can see
Catches
the
a
eyes.
couple
Just
of
on
them
Xmithy.
there. Let's see if they actually create anything here with the pushing bottom lane as well. The Scuttle Crab control into the Tri-Brush ward completely allows Stixxay and Aphromoo, the ability to continue to try and pressure. It's not really denying CS at the moment, but Flame definitely is.
Yeah, this matchup is honestly pretty bad for the Cho'Gath early. The percent HP that you'll deal with the Shen. Shen actually wins a lot of those tank matchups before people even have first item buys. Smithy's kind of getting controlled here. May get spotted out, but this is 6 people in the bottom side.
Kind of as expected. Bottom lane focus starts early, so you can blow summoners for the Shen to use his ultimate later, and there they go.
Pressure, Cody Sun flashes out, so he's going to be able to deliver the damage right away. Looking at Ole's health bar first, but it could be back to Omar God. First blood going to Immortals. How did Ole get out alive?
Woo. The change in summoner spells here. The heal for Cody Sun, the ignite for Ole. This is not that same incredibly passive bottom lane with the cleanse early like last time. They do end up getting that first blood. Very, very barely there.
Again, the margins here are so slim. First blood, though, is going over to Immortals. They'll be very happy to also get that kill secure onto Cody Sun, right where they want that money.
I think a big part of that is the Sejuani passive comes through for the stun onto Omar God. So Ole gets in there, but then he's able to stun Omar. They line him up for the Sejuani afterwards, and then they're able to pick him up before he has a chance to flash away.
Yeah, all the eyes were on Ole getting so low first, but burst damage along with the stun that comes with the Sejuani catches Omar off guard, and now Smith is trying to chase him off again.
Yeah, Sejuani's not that big team fighter anymore. She's really favored in 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s. When I talked to some of the designers after the rework, it was the sacrifice of skirmish or team fight power on the ultimate, which used to stun everybody, for more skirmish potential. The percent HP early allows her to fight a lot of these junglers and be a part of those 2-on-2s and 3-on-3s.
Was a blue buff transferred during that, but most of the Immortals back, so it doesn't really come into play for Cody Sun. Wears off by now. Ole will rejoin him back in the bot lane. It's been a bit slower here for Immortals. By this time, game 1, we saw Xmithy and Ole all over the map together. Definitely a change of pace. CLG has been doing a very nice job from the jungle at kind of getting this one going.
Yeah, and there are definitely a decent amount of wards placed in the rivers here as well. A lot more focus placed on tracking those supports, as both mid laners this time around have been left to their own devices, and it's actually Pobelter on the Cassiopeia earning himself a very decent CS lead here with the champion, pressuring the Vel'Koz and trying to fight their own vision wars, actually.
He does have the help of Omar in the wings.
Oh. 4 hits is so many. Feels like you're there forever.
That's the thing is,
get out alive.
At that challenger level, people realize 4 hits is a lot to keep somebody there, and it's enough time that people can collapse, right? You're looking at mid laners that don't run attack speed. The 0.7 attack speed means you're sitting there for 4 to 5 seconds to actually clear a ward.
Good zoning here by Huhi, trying to delay Pobelter and returning to lane. The nice 1 CS there, but again, Pobelter already been handling it very well himself.
Push looks like they want to get the wave cleared up just a little bit to give Cody Sun harder time to farm under the turret. His teleport goes back to top side for Flame.
Flame actually stayed in the lane for a very long time there. Darshan backed TP'd in and had an item advantage, but still you see Flame with a decent CS advantage when he actually clears this wave out. He'll be up almost 20, and now he comes back with very favorable items for him in the matchup to just continue punishing Darshan.
And while they do have the standing item available now, it is a bit more risky to use, right? There's a big cost to it since he can't get back to the top lane afterwards. And in the bottom side where they would want to use it again, the flashes were actually blown by Immortals in the last skirmish rather than them, even though they secured the kill, burning them off of the CLG duo, which are going to be a bit more tricky to pin down.
Oh. Pet skin. Too much. Good shots on the bot lane. Oh! Pobelter actually stands still knowing the damage isn't going to take him out. Very, very scary.
I'm sitting there like, is Vel'Koz the next Syndra? All you have to do is press R after missing everything and you kill him? Not quite, though. had to hit those skill shots.
I mean, you get a lot of lane pressure. We've seen so many people using ultimates early on. Now we get a catch onto Omar. Can he get the last hit?
Nice little 1-2 pop there. Final shot. Locks up Omar God. This gives that time the rotation up from Pobelter. A good slow coming in. Pobelter's miasma just a little short. Gets bounced back into a 2v1 where he does not want to be. And I don't think he's going to make it out. Little retribution kill for Omar God on that one.
Big
and the
pace there by Immortals into the jungle. Gets them one, but now they've got to run.
Are they done? I think they're done.
Nice rhyme. Nice rhyme.
Aframu was going to be coming to the fight as well, but he backed up. A good push on the bot lane here. We'll see how they re-answer that, but things are starting to heat up here in game 2.
Is Huhi gonna roam? It looks like because he pushed mid, has that priority, and the other mid laner's dead. He's gonna go look for something here. He's gonna get spotted by a control ward. There's the route to delay. There they go.
Pop forward, Ole to stick say. That means you deny a little bit of the damage onto your AD carry. Ultimate's on for Ole. They're kind of split on who they want to kill, but I think they're gonna decide on Ole and force his flash at the end of that fight.
Flashes for both supports used down here. Decent roam, but not really a lot gain there. All right, let's take another look at the replay.
Yeah, this is that combo. Once you get the E stun, it actually doesn't lock you out of the ultimate stun, and you can get that second instance of percent HP damage. And Xmithie with the flash on the barrel secures them Omar God.
Yeah, he was fully expecting that one coming through, but Darshan doesn't even pay attention. They definitely give up Omar as their sacrifice, and they say, yes, we can actually close in on Pobelter. Speaking of closing in, though.
Ooh, here comes Omar God from the side.
Gotta feel really nice to get that flash off Ole. Now the flash off Cody's son, and may bring a little more attention down to the bot lane. They have time to work for that. Mountain Drake is the first one, so we may actually get a pretty good fight on that, as Immortals has very nice wards here. They continue to clear up. Those wards should start to come out a little more. We see Aframu put the Sight Stone in his hands with 2 vision wards. And we'll see Pobelter to back here with a bit of gold in his own.
See what he goes for here. In the first game, we saw him go for a Rod of Ages as his first item. Looks like he might head towards an Abyssal Mask. Looks like it will be Abyssal Mask in this matchup. So changing his build game to game based on the opponent and the damage palette. And then you see Omar God going for the Cinder Hulk instead of the Runic Echoes that Xmithie had on the Gragas. So just looking to be a team player and a tank, knowing he can't really take those 1v1s or 2v2s early against the Sejuani.
Meanwhile, CLG really taking control of the river very, very seriously here. They want to try and protect the mid lane. Don't want, you know, the Ole and Xmithie combo again making such a big difference in the early game. Spending multiple control wards here, ensuring that Huhi can hover to the bottom side of the lane. Definitely has a huge amount of security. And with the last play they had around mid lane, Huhi also has connected with the rest of the CS and caught right back up.
Yeah, blue buff gets handed off to Pobelter. They know that's happening, so they go for this Mountain Drake. Like you said, Huhi catching up. This mid lane has been so important in that first game, and the second game is already starting where we saw Huhi shove Pobelter out for priority, got Summoner Spells bottom, and has been a little bit more active right now.
A great job by completely sweeping out the entirety of those wards. Now they're all CLGs and encroaching on the side of Immortals all the way down to red. See if they can keep pressure up. 1 game down, they've had a great start to this one, and Omar God looks to escalate that with throwing one out for the homies.
All right, well, that was interesting. We also saw in the mid lane, there was another decent interaction here. On the mini-map, you could see Huhi was hovering the bottom side where they had all that vision. So even though Xmithie tried to make a pass at mid lane during that gank bottom lane, Huhi just walked down in the river, didn't have to pull any summoner spells. They're not done yet, though. CLG trying to keep up on the invade.
Yeah, because the bottom lane has to farm underneath that turret, and also the mid here, able to bully Xmithie a bit. Oh, hold on. There's Stand United.
Lockup wants to go back in, sees 3, and Flame is in the fight now. They have Omar God locked down, but it's a 4v1 now for Flame. He backs up. Looks Looks like he'll live through the ultimate at least, but this means that anybody can drop for
POV.
Immortals. Pobelter trying to bring in the damage. Will he have enough, or has he thrown himself into the fire? His flash is not up, but Cleanse is as he moves around to safety. Stixxay over the wall.
Oh, no!
No mana there. Immortals turning this around as Cody-san hits shots left and right. Pobelter cleaning up the fight. Aphromoo had to back out with everybody else early as the mana bars and HP is dwindling for CLG.
Here's another. Hold on.
Is there?
Ah, almost. Pobelter, seriously,
His
mechanical.
flash is almost up. His flash is almost up.
Yeah, mechanical outplay there from Pobelter. Pobelter was able to keep both Aphromoo and Huhi at bay in the Dragon Pit after he flashed in, and was able to claim that territory when normally that 2-on-1, if the skill shots hit, will be the death of the Casio.
There are no battle lines in these skirmishes. Everyone's just joining as soon as they can from any angle. All members collapsing here from Immortals, and as you said, in the pit, that was one of the critical plays here by Pobelter. He's the one who turns it around for Immortals yet again. It was kind of at the the crux of Immortals' early game last game, and this time around he comes up with a very big play there in the Dragon Pit.
And Xmithie is also playing incredibly well in these skirmishes. The fact that he was super low and still decided to go back in to contribute once more was big for them to continue the fight.
See it again.
Let us walk through this one more time. Ole, they're trying to basically just defend the red at this point because they know that Xmithie is low, but then they make the call after they see that commitment from CLG to use Shen Stand United. Where it gets very bad for Immortals is when Huhi has the first roam and teleport comes in, so they know they have to abort. But Pobelter sneaks into the Dragon Pit, unbeknownst to Omar, gets a very good angle on him. They get that first kill. He dodges the skill shots there of Vel'Koz. That's one of the drawbacks of the champion, is that a lot of the damage, especially in those open areas, is very avoidable. He does that, secures the other kills, but we're back into a rift!
It's not over. It's never over. Ole, back up. That shows you how much time was in between. Omar God goes down. Stixxay's gonna fall. Cody-san with a double. And the third one goes to Xmithie as Immortals from the bottom side of the map go to clean up the top side.
Xmithie, like, new champion, new memes. Kill the old ones. That was fantastic Sejuani play there. The stun on one target, the bola over the shoulder to stun another, and then he just went after the third person with the slow. Knew that his team had to clean up there. Beautiful.
7-1 now for Immortals, and this game is looking like the pace will be a lot quicker than last time around. It's a huge snowball. They still have the same late game carries to rely upon, but now they've also got the territory to work with. That first turret going down on top of the skirmish victory here means that they have so much extra room. And it starts out with the 3 versus 2 in CLG's favor with so much dodge there as Cody-san is able to kite backwards, and they turn it right back around onto CLG.
That is Sejuani poetry right there from Xmithie. That was beautiful. The stun on all 3 people to make sure they get all of them instead of just hyper-focusing on one and tunneling it down. And, yo, he's gonna go for Ardent Sensor. Yo! I saw the Amp Tome and I was like, wait, the Sejuani AP build is out. Her ratios suck now. And now he's got the Ardent Sensor coming in, is gonna try to use the Stoneborn pack off of the slow from the ulti, the knockup, and even the W slow. This is gonna be great for the team.
We'll see.
Not
Glad you're
quite for him,
enthused.
though.
I want you to hit it when we see it.
That's right.
We'll get the numbers in.
There are some drawbacks as far as your own tankiness.
Right.
You're talking about not so great for him. He'll be a little bit less healthy himself on the front lines, but since they have the Shen, since they have the Alistar, they're not hurting for other tanks. And we'll just have to have him positioned a little bit differently. Since Sejuani can get out so many of those slows you're talking about, we'll see how well they can use this extra attack speed.
I think everybody's waiting a good 30 seconds here. Omar got very close to having his ult up. Huhi throwing the lasers around as Darshan chomps down on some beef. Ole out of the fight. That's the second kill coming in. Ulti here from Xmithie. They don't have a full fight. I think they're just trying to hold it around. There's the Stand United coming in from Flame. Pobelter trying to get out of the Feather Storm as they go for the fight. Rakan going down. Alframu cannot get to the back line. More members of CLG falling left and right. Darshan looks like he could go down. They're looking for that retribution kill. And Ole is up in 3 seconds, just to tell you how long these fights are going.
Again, though, this is around a big objective. Last skirmish Immortals won, they got first turret bonus. This time around, they're going to get an Infernal Drake for their troubles. And this is quickly snowballing out of control. It's only 18 minutes in, but this is a giant lead this time.
Talked about late game scaling. They are kind of hitting those points a little early this game. Power spikes all over the place here. Smithy laughing. These guys are having a great time as he finishes up his Ardent Sensor. 208 on the Sejuani pick. Did they ban last game?
Yeah, that's true. The Ardent Sensor, super interesting to actually buy it, but right now he's just doing incredibly well on the Sejuani. Not played much at all, but also, I gotta say, Pobelter, he has had his dancing shoes on. He has not been hit by many skill shots this game at all, and it is critical. Flashing the E here to continue is another big part.
Look how tall, look how far this Kog'Maw has to walk, though. He's been walking the entire time. So Immortals make this call to re-engage with just the stand united for Pobelter. They're able to buy enough time. Cody-san literally walked from the top of top lane all the way down to this team fight and flashes in to get the chase down kills here for Immortals.
Puppy will always find his way home. Always. Home for the fight. It looks like they're going to try to get a lot more of those in. 7,000, actually looking at 8,000 golden lead here as it ticks up. And a quick silver sash quickly for Cody-san within that build to keep himself safe.
And the analysts were talking about it after the Envy 5-game series for CLG. The jungle and the bottom lane look like liabilities. In this game, it's happening again. It's mostly on those solo laners to find something, but Ole, oh, baby!
Flame stopped his teleport on the bot side. He knows to walk all the way up. They're going to now lose a few more members. There goes Cody-san, all those kills. Now pocking gold over on the side of CLG. And it looks like Stixay does get out alive. That's good for them to keep these wave clear up with Huhi on the mid turret.
Yeah, Stixay narrowly avoided the last ultimate there from Cody-san, which actually got him in a compromising position. Doesn't matter though, Immortals still push ahead. And Hui's the lone defense left for the outer turret.
He's got a ninja in his face.
Yeah, I like Flame pushing him all the way back because the Vel'Koz maxing the W and Q. If he gets those caster minions, he'll pretty much destroy them.
And
save
stay, you're welcome. Pink wards in every slot for the inventory, or I should say everybody's inventory in one slot. We'll see a bit of the gold stats at 20, 68. Golden lead for game one, now 6,000. Multiplied a bit here for game two.
Now, we need to take a look at what's the difference from last game and how CLG were actually able to overcome a lot of the plays that Immortals started to pull off. Because last time around, Immortals did have a very decent early lead, but CLG overcame a lot of that with proactive plays of their own. This time around, those are severely lacking. CLG are having a very hard time regaining any sort of momentum in this game as Ole just keeps up the pace.
That was the body slam. They know he didn't have a way to get away. Ultimate down, so they can kind of play at length here. They just have to watch out for Alframu. And Darshan, as he heads into the jungle. Righteous Glory goes off, so they know that's a bit of an initiation. Stand united onto it. Smithy, they find Ole on the backside, and Alframu's trying to charm up everybody he can find. Pobelter from over the wall, just laying into the team of CLG as Flame and Smithy are the front line.
Why is CLG looking for a fight when Hui used his ulti and has no mana? He can't help there. You have to get an early kill to get something back with Morello's, but they aren't able to do that with the health bars.
That is going to be the Baron here for Immortals. Omar God is alive, and he does have Flash, so he could try and go for the Miracle Steal, but Immortals don't even want to let him get close.
Double, triple knockup. He's got enough HP to kind of just walk through this, and they got to be careful how much they actually try to dance it out. Omar God doing a damn good job at keeping the Baron alive. Smithy goes down for a kill. Omar God traded out as well. Ole just sliver of health away from dying. Cody-san, Elder Drake last game, Baron for himself this game, and Immortals are going to make it out limping away. And CLG doesn't have the minions to push in really any direction.
CLG solo laners are trying so hard to stay in this game.
lumbering along. I don't know if he's going to have enough speed to get there, but they are going to try to deny as much backing as possible. You see Stixxay pushing up the minion wave in the mid lane. Hopefully this is the second tier turret in mid for CLG.
Yeah, CLG have to be very careful here. They are definitely at a disadvantage in the straight up 5-on-5s, and the death timers are so low. With a teleport on Flame, there's a possibility of a flank behind them. He could teleport in, get a taunt behind. They're actually still out on the field, but 4 seconds left. They do pull back in time. That has to be communication with the death timer.
He's still 3-0-3. Very big on Vel'Koz and can very much change one of these fights around if he's able to get Pobelter or Cody's son to start things off. It's the initiation for CLG. Where can it come from at this point with Immortals just chugging down every lane right now?
We got to look at Afromu and Omar God for a lot of that engage. If you're looking for Huhi to try and land his knockup, it's not going to be as easy to do as have those recon engagements. Think back to game 1, Omar and Afro trying to stay in the game via those engages is what helped them there. But this game hasn't been on point just yet for them. We'll see. They are looking for something right now, though. They see Pobelter in a side lane, so Afromu wants to strike.
They will have to look for something very small. It's not a big window to get in here for CLG. Immortals much cleaner in the fights. This recreation, I should say, as they have the same brand, of a team that organizes fights much better. There seemed to be a lot of chaos in their previous compositions, and that has really carried them, along with Xmithie hopping into the jungle, very far this season. And back to a spot they actually started at as Immortals.
Yeah. They actually went through that rebuilding, like we said, but when you rebuild, you try to get back to where you were. If they win here, they make the finals, and then it's just a rebirth. It's a new start for them.
Very true. CLG obviously wanting the same, but to keep a legacy going, keep those trophies in their hands. As we saw, it means quite a bit here for the team, and as well as Omar God to be a part of that for CLG.
Yeah, Immortals definitely feeling the pressure, or feeling the success already here.
Yeah.
Ole's having fun with it. Baron buff, over an 11,000 gold lead for themselves. Game 2 is definitely a fairly one-sided affair as far as these things go. The QSS has already come in for Cody's son. He's feeling protected as well in the backline. You can see how much pressure they can actually output here. Even on the top side Flame on this Shen, he can't really do much as far as kill pressure on Darshan, but he keeps him there, and he has the Stand United available in case anything breaks out on the other side of the map. Definitely a decent power play here for Immortals, reflecting the Drake on the backside of it as well.
Just taking everything as they head back home. Cody's son going to grab himself red buff so he can stay very, very strong and get the kites out if he needs to by himself. He's on 3 items. Stixxay actually waiting to get his final, and he's sitting on 1,500, so he's actually very close.
And if CLG do, have some avenue back into this, it's going to have to come off the back of some vision plays here, because they would need to surprise members of Immortals and catch them separated if they wanted to take anyone down. Immortals right now, if they're able to group, or even if they're able to buy enough time with a Stand United, they're just so far ahead that CLG cannot, really fight any stand-up numbers.
Yeah, and the composition from Immortals has really good kite back. You have the shielding, you have the Cassio, as well as the peel from the Alistar. But then they also have ways to force, right? With this type of advantage, you can deny vision, you can go underneath turrets and use the Sejuani ultimate or even the Alistar ultimate to start fights and push your lead. And that's kind of what they're looking to do here, is stretch the map around these objectives and then try to force something.
Here's one of those vision plays you were talking about, just on the edge. They see one who he was trying to bait in just a little bit of distance from Pobelter, but Xmithie was there as well on the wing.
That is the exact attempt to try and go for it. One of those vision plays on a couple of members, but it's just, they're so difficult to pull off that unless Immortals also kind of walk into one of them, it's too risky. So you see CLG pull the abort button right there as soon as Immortals do collapse, because as you said, it's so difficult unless you get the snap initiation. There's a Stand United that comes in. The Alistar is such a good combo breaker that Immortals do have a lot of defense.
Darshan tends to the bot lane. We're going to get Flame backing. He's got about 1,200. So does Xmithie. So they're getting some finalized items in here. Kindle Gem and some Merc Tread, so he can keep himself going in these fights without this crowd control now. So kind of final items they're getting in, as they've already built up quite a few of the core ones to start things off. A few of the fights now towards the top side of the map. Baron in 1:30 as they set up their vision again.
And so far, this has been domination from Immortals. Up almost 13,000 gold at 28 minutes into the game here. Looking like one of those top teams. Like we said, we're tied for first place, and the tiebreaker was just game score. And Immortals looking for that finals. They really want to hit it. And you think about how they were 7th to 2nd place. 7th in spring, missed the playoffs. 2nd coming into this with the regular season, and they only changed the coach and the jungler. And we talked about the NALCS, the top 16 are more competitive than ever. The fact that they made that surge with just those changes speaks to these players having that potential and then gelling together. Remember, Cody-san came in as a rookie? I am Gyeonggi. Highly criticized when he came in, looking like a liability, but it looks like the development of this team has been huge.
Oh, don't curse him!
Almost
cursed him.
Fully developed. Cody-san is able to survive there with both summoners blown.
Old Cody-san. No,
Cody Dunn.
Cody Dunn.
Honestly, though, the bottom lane for Immortals is one of the great stories here as far as development. CLG are going to go for initiation here because they do have the pressure with Cody-san so low. Now he's healing up off the Wolves, though, and the small window is closing quickly.
Afromu looking to get in there. You can see him standing on the front line. Omar God would be just on his heels. I'm not sure he's going to want Flame. Flame says, I can initiate on you. Oh, what a hit from Xfinity! The follow-up now from Immortals as Stixxay takes to the air. He hits the ground and finds one with Darshan. Flame now on the front line, and Ole cannot deliver any damage. Pullbouts and Cody-san are too far away, and now they are within arm's reach to get some damage down onto CLG, but they've done a great job at assessing the fight themselves and look to turn it around.
Very big play here from CLG. One-man advantage. Olay is down his ultimate, most of his health, and the summoners as well. They're trying to pry it open and gain something around the Baron.
Who he has his ultimate back up in Darshan's pretty close here, and he's one of those big fights. Flame?
Oh, same old song, same old dance for Flame. Gets out of that one. Alphamu cannot get the initiation down, and he stays now in front of his AD carry on that bot side of the map.
And Immortals are just buying time for Xfinity to come back up. We talked about the Ardent Sensor affecting his tankiness, so he doesn't have a lot of HP, very susceptible to Cho'Gath Devour, but also at the same time, just those base stats, not able to stack them up. And Sejuani is a little bit squishier than most tanks. It's her passive that makes up for it, but it falls off very quickly.
Looks like they're looking for another!
Ole says, I have to go in, gets his shield out, and he is going to go down. That kill going over to Stixxay, but they trade one of the tankiest members, which means they don't have much of a front line anymore, and Flame's looking for his next target for the rest of the team.
Counter Logic Gaming holding strong here as Immortals continue to press forward. 1-for-1 trade is going to be to a top laner with teleport as well. Baiting around Baron now, but there is a ward in the brush that Flame is on. Now they found it with the Scry's Bloom.
Darshan, just a kind of a pile of resistances for the team right now, but if Immortals can get through it that quick, things look scary.
And they're buying time right now for this big wave that's crashing on the bottom turret there.
Yeah.
You can see on the mini-map.
Deja vu. Oh my God, doesn't want any deja vu. He stays alive for this one. It looks like Aframu gets onto Pobelter. That's what they wanted. Gets the cleanse out, as well as his Seraph's Embrace to keep himself healthy. And there's the ultimate from Huhi. The team tries to turn.
Cho'Gath on the side!
Gap closer. Darshan's back. That's how long we've been at this section of the map.
Eat him!
Now Ole's going to try and give him a little bit of assistance. Gives him that Knight's Vow, but it's not going to be enough.
All right, they do have Tame. Flame is recalling right now. He does have his teleport as well as Staying United. CLG, though, again, they don't get too many of these openings, and they're slowly grinding their way back into this game. Now with Baron control, they would like to bait some more kills, but starting it up would be so risky.
Yeah, it's incredibly risky, but it's a bait.
The slumber party begins as Ole goes in first. He's going to be the target, but he's not going down very fast. Oh, United is right away, which keeps him super healthy. Oh my God goes down. The swipe from Flame comes in after the flash. The rest of the team behind them as Cody-san picks it up. The flash forward from Xmithie to dodge out on the skills and keep the fight going. Flame for one more taunt, but he just doesn't have the energy yet, and the team decides to turn back.
Oh, Immortals are able to find them inside the pit, but it's another couple of trades here. Pobelter does go down, and CLG are clinging on. This is an incredibly low chance that they can actually steal this, but Stixxay and Afro are going to give it their all.
Flank from the side, though, in the fog of war.
They have a lot of area that they can clear, but Stixxay has to be next to
There's Ole.
Afro move. Ole back, Featherstorm gets Stixxay out of range. Xmithie grabbing up the Baron as we expected. Afromu goes down, and Immortals has to think how hard do they want to go on this or reset to bring it right back to CLG's base.
All right, well, the pressure maybe has passed now, because as hard as CLG made them work for that, now with the Baron, the gold lead has extended over 14,000 gold, and the minions have also finally done their work for Immortals.
2 games in a row that's happened now for Immortals.
It's the minion side lane control, right? They start the slow push, it eventually makes its way there, and then they're able to get objectives off of it, but they play around that too. The reason that they can even contest that Baron is they have a slow pushing bottom wave. If you let CLG reset, they can go ahead and pick that one up. But this was a good bait from CLG, but the execution and the fact that Stand United is up made this completely get turned around on them.
Yep, game of hide and seek, and Immortals were able to find all of the front line here. Without the front line, then we get the situation we had last time around Baron, where it's incredibly risky and the stragglers do get chased down. So once again, after all of that, Immortals are going to be able to push up, just solidify their 4-1 push here. Baron buff, they won't even have to deal with an inhibitor turret on their way into the base. See what CLG can actually do about it, because this may be their last stand.
Always have to worry, though, with a 2 damage composition. Nobody gets caught.
Word. Darshan shredded down. Looks like Xmithie will stand on the front line. Ultimates are up. His flash is down, as are a few more of the Immortals squad. Looks like they're able to get out safely on this. Flame says, I'll take this too. Actually leaves it alone.
All right, 1 inhibitor down. Immortals moving over next door. And it looks like Darshan gets the rupture, but there's no follow-up from CLG. They're running out of time.
Looks like bot lane may pile up one more time if they can get one more push onto that. Flame's just trying to be a nuisance and route the minions before they can get out to lane, as nobody can really do any damage that's going to affect him within the base. Staying for the long haul, Immortals are not leaving just yet, and they soon will have a top lane coming up here in the next few minutes.
And they're looking for that pick. You always have to watch your feet here. Huhi with the knock-up, as well as Darshan. If somebody gets caught by that, whether it's Cody-san or Pobelter, they have to find a way to quickly react and peel, because this Cho'Gath will do a ton of true damage to somebody, and if he's able to get Cody-san, it would be about 3/4 of his HP at this point.
Problem is, now they have to also simultaneously clear out the bottom lane minions. He does get most of them, but the turret's going down.
Nice job by Xmithie getting in, making sure he was tanking no matter what happened for extra damage. Darshan quickly down to 25% HP. That's an airborne and now a dead Xmithie. A lot of damage coming in on the side of Immortals carries. They have to be very, very careful here. Huhi delivering.
They get another kill. They're chasing him out of the base now.
Afro?
Ever so slowly. They know they have Baron minions coming in some way, shape, or form. If they get a side lane split push, so they decide to clear this out, but it looks good for CLG for the time being. Good hold. Still a lot of pressure coming from Immortals as they wait for Xmithie. Just has to really hit the right ultimate, and CLG, that fight turns very wrong for them. So kind of hanging by a thread here. They look to clear the waves. Make that happen again.
Yeah, it's actually incredible how many times they've been able to hold on to that thread and how many times it actually has saved them. Huhi barely able, with Sejuani right in his face, keeps up the ultimate. They get the damage to it. Stixxay with the giant feather pull there. Got all 3 remaining members, so there was no counter kill from Immortals. and CLG get away with a little bit more time.
Yeah, and Omar God had the right idea in that fight. He threw the explosive cask and it hit Pobelter away, so he actually didn't contribute any damage. It knocked him out of who he's ultimate, but Pobelter was too far to actually help out. He's the guy you have to worry about a lot of this damage coming from on the CLG side.
Immortals again control of Dragons this game, one of each so far. An Elder a little bit away, so they have time to play here at the front of the base. Looks like they will get a minion wave crashing in once more. I don't think it'll reach the Nexus turrets just yet, and CLG only has to worry about top and mid here. So what do they decide to do? What could be their end?
Well, they have to wait for another one of those really opportune moments where they get, you know, a rupture onto Kog'Maw, or okay, Olay starting it off.
Righteous Glory down. Seems like they're okay with that. Didn't really get too much damage onto another one. Okay, this is not what should be okay. They missed a few that they could follow up on. The CLG now get the rebuttal. Like Smithy not going down very fast. Omar Guard still going to crowd control him up so they can't turn it around. His Flame is now in the fight. One by one, can they decide to get into this fight? The kills have not fallen through just yet as the tanks are only scrapping it up.
Oh, front line getting low.
Don't worry, they're not going down.
Oh, the Kog'Maw!
Oh, that's a bad spot. Nice. Stand united. Cody's son definitely with an error there in positioning and almost gets taken down by CLG, getting very hectic within these fights.
Blow after blow traded, but no blood drawn here for either team. And that, in the end, is a victory for Counter Logic Game because they're just looking to survive in there.
Yeah, you're playing against somebody who has such a great defense right now, and you're waiting for them to throw the first punch and then counter, but they're not throwing anything, and they're waiting for you to go first, and they're punishing.
It's a bunch of slappies. Just slap hands.
But CLG is just putting their hands up, guarding their face. They're like, I don't want to hit you
Dude, don't
unless
lower
you hit me.
Don't lower the guard. With 25 seconds, you're in a much better position to now try and take that Elder out. You're going to have your inhibitors healthy and one coming back up shortly, so that will play big here for Counter Logic Gaming. Still things looking tough, but they put up a great defense and are now feeling comfortable enough to start leaving the base. And that Nexus turret has taken a lot of damage. See how they manage. Immortals can play the hangout game, keep CLG from going back to base, and then that's where they start to get a lead.
But somebody has to go back because there's two super minions on that bottom inhibitor that just respawned. They'll do a lot of damage, but they're going to fight. Olay looking for back.
Olay all the way back onto 3. Darshan can actually find someone to crowd control. Everything in defense now for CLG, but they are almost able to deliver back onto Olay. There's the hit on Louis. Pobelter goes down immediately. Cody's son still alive on the back line, though, watching for the shots, and the Hurricane is able to deliver on the side as well with the AoE damage. Living artillery's raining down from above as Aframu dodges to safety, and CLG dances towards the fountain.
Oh, look at it tap him on the end here, but Afro gets back to the fountain. It is a 3-on-3 defense with super minions knocking.
What a fight. Turns back and forth. CLG having to pull the trigger when they had a strong enough base, but Immortals still finding the targets, still fighting the fight, and still having the damage to persevere. Cody's son on the turrets as Smithy and Flame the front line all game. For game number 2, 25-12, 41 minutes in. Immortals bring it to game 3, 2-0 over CLG.
And Immortals, after the rebuilding year, are now 1 game away from making the finals.
What a big deal it would be for this organization to crack into the North American LCS finals. People keep talking about how we have only ever had those 3 teams up there.
Plus GGU, that's it.
Immortals very close to doing it though, and the way that they're doing it is not what we expected, honestly. When we talk about the strengths of Immortals during the regular season, it was so much about the crisp mid-game plays that they were creating, and a lot of the shot calling. But these ones, they're getting down in the dirt with CLG. CLG are making them struggle for it, and they are still coming out ahead, which is important.
And something big as well in this game is I hear a lot of people talk about Cody's son as somebody who's getting carried a little bit by Olay. But in these team fights, you're seeing that he knows how to navigate them and has really good positioning in them. He did a lot of damage, more than Pobelter by about 20,000 in that game. and he really stepped up here over especially that game 1 performance where he got caught out a little bit.
After game 1, he kind of said, I see you, Aphromoo. I'm always going to see you in these fights.
And keep in mind, this is Cody Sun's first playoffs because they didn't play in spring. So him on this stage, his first playoff match in a semifinal, there's pressure, but he's delivering.
Yeah, well, they are relieving a bit of that pressure here. Still can't let anything go. Still more games, and CLG could bring it right back. Right now, we're going to check in with Dash and the analysts to see what they make of that Immortals win.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. 2-0 lead for Immortals now after game 2. This one, at least the way it started, a heck of a lot more dominant in terms of falling in the way of Immortals. But I gotta say, I was largely impressed by CLG's ability to stall that game out.
It took a really long time and many more 1,000 golds of lead than we thought it would, because it felt like that game was going to be brought to a pretty swift conclusion after the opening, where Ole kept baiting all those fights.
It was just kind of a strange comp out of CLG that I don't think Immortals realize how difficult it is to close. 1 versus Vel'Koz, and 2, the true damage that can come in from him versus an Alistar and even a Cho'Gath if he chooses to just devour the front line. It actually becomes pretty difficult for the Kog'Maw and Cassio to follow up on their back line, because so much of Vel'Koz's damage just shoots over that Alistar that's ulting in.
But it's peculiar, right? Because we had the first 3 bans come through from Immortals being mid-focus bans, the first pick Cassiopeia, and then they seemingly abandoned that mid-focus strategy in their pick ban phase by then banning out 2 top laners where they could have just targeted the Vel'Koz out as well.
Yeah, they could have definitely had that in the second phase of bans, but then you don't know what's going to happen in the top side, right? Darshan looked largely ineffective on Cho'Gath, aside from some of the late-game fights. The early game was very weak for them. So obviously it's easy to defend the winning team's pick and ban strategy when things work out, but the Vel'Koz has been a pick 4 Huhi against Cassiopeia, just didn't give him the win.
And I think even in the loss, if I were Immortals, I would have some trepidation around that pick in future games and letting Huhi get his hands on it.
Right, I mean, you compare to what the Jacks did in game 1, a little bit of a menace in the early game, starts split pushing, but then as soon as team fights roll around, which is once again where this game largely is decided by, the Jacks pick is not nearly as effective compared to what we've seen out of this Vel'Koz.
Yeah, but the important things to focus on is the fact that Immortals did get that early game lead and never let CLG kind of come back towards them. Early game playmaking from Ole and Xmithy was really on point this game, much more than it was in the first.
Everything pre-15 minutes felt like regular split Immortals, the way that they've been playing throughout the season, this roster of 5.
And just pay attention to how much damage Ole absorbs. He gets all of them to focus him down, then Shen is able to go in. It looks like this is not too bad out of CLG, but as they try and kite in and finish these kills off, they just can't quite find a target, and their selection completely falls apart once Pobelter presents himself. Omar God, always walking too far forward, tends to die at the start of almost every single fight. Great fancy feed out of Pobelter on the top half of the screen to basically win a 1v2 situation. Now Stixxay went too deep trying to kill, find some kills down the bot side, and the fight completely breaks apart.
Yeah, and you can see so many of these fights are predicated around the duo lanes, and this was looking like a weakness of CLG in the quarterfinals, and it has been a strength of Immortals all split. So Omar God and the bottom lane for CLG have been underperforming, and that's where Immortals punished them. At one point, the 3 roles we just talked about for CLG were 0 and 14 in this game.
Yeah, they had 14 of the 16 deaths at like 20-something minutes, and even the first blood came in from the bot side. So it feels like Immortals have found a very obvious winning strategy versus CLG, which is force around the bot lane. They don't play those skirmishes out very well. Your jungler seems to outperform them, and then if you pull top laners down too, great. Just keep focused on the bot lane.
Right. I think the one thing you got to continue to remind yourself on the side of Immortals is the fact that CLG has won a number of fights from behind in both game 1 and game 2 here, and that's always got to be some source of concern for you moving forward. That what happens if we don't have a 12K lead at 20 minutes?
I mean, honestly, it's obviously scary if that happens, but I think it's reliably going to happen. I mean, every game in the postseason so far, basically CLG has fallen behind, aside for game 5 of their series versus Envy. So this seems like something that you can basically bank on happening, and you don't need to index more into early games and say, all right, let's not risk letting CLG get a lead, because you can trust Smithy to outperform Omar God every single game.
How does CLG get a lead then?
I think you have to break up what Ole's doing the most, just because all these early game fights, Ole does such a good job baiting you in, frontlining. There was the gank down the bot side that he was able to get out when they just traded flash for flash. He's playing super well.
Yeah, I think one thing that has been working for CLG is Stixxay in team fights has been good, right? Huhi in team fights has been also very good. So the Cassiopeia and the Alistar are things that are allowing Immortals to kind of get through where CLG would be strong. Stixxay is losing laning phase with the playmaking. And as much as it sucks to say, Ole has just been smashing Aphromoo and playmaking supports. So if they can find a way to pick a neutral lane that absorbs pressure in some way and gives some supportive hyper carry support, I think that's their best chance.
Now, we haven't talked about the top lane matchup much because there has been so much focus from the teams themselves around mid and bot lane. But I do want to talk about Darshan versus Flame because these are two of our best top laners in the league alongside, Someday and Haunser, the likes of those kinds of guys. But we haven't talked about these two very much in the matchup. The Jax coming out in game one for Darshan, and then the Cho'Gath this time around, neither necessarily working. Of course, there was the Gnar ban, from the side of Immortals, but do we feel like they need to enable Darshan maybe to put pressure on the flip side of the map from Immortals?
We haven't seen enough out of Darshan to say that his playmaking champions come from anything other than playing Gnar or playing a counter to Gnar, because that was the case in the Envy series, and that's the case again here early on. He took the Jax and the Gnar this time. And so I think what Immortals is saying here is we ban Gnar and maybe a counter that we've seen him play this series, and then Darshan seems relegated to just playing tanks, which is exactly what you want to do. Get the playmakers out of the best performing member that CLG has had all split.
Yeah, they ended up early picking their top laner here as well with the Cho'Gath, and I kind of agree with you there where the Jax is one of his best split pushers or the Gnar. But core CLG, when they have been at their best, and even when they're trying to get back to it, is a 1-3-1, right? So you play disengage on your support, you pick a safer AD carry that can hyperscale, and then pick two guys that can do 1v1s in solo lanes for Huhi and Darshan. That has to be, you think, where they could potentially find a win, but it's pretty grim for them right now.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
Immortals is very good, and they're playing well.
Yeah, I think it was game one, a little bit of jitters, like you said, and they didn't quite look like their regular season form. This time we're seeing regular season form versus Immortals, or versus CLG, who looks like what they looked like last weekend. So not at all looking too good for them.
And to your point, Jad, it seems like Immortals has identified the exact same winning strategy for CLG and have targeted that mid lane and the top lane when it comes to bans.
As many 3v3s as they can force in the game as well, because that's where Immortals is strongest, and that's where CLG has been weakest.
All right, well, there you have it. It's match point for Immortals, so meet us here after the break to see if they can attend their first finals in NALCS history. Don't touch that browser. You're watching the North American LCS Summer Playoffs.